Hello and welcome back to another episode of Building Experiences with Mark Schultz. I'm Mark Schultz and I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today as we talk through some really great tips and tricks on how to build fantastic experiences using the great Adobe technology. Now, of course, the show is not good without our guests, and we've got a really good returning guest today. We're going to be talking about really joining the content and the way we build our experiences with the data element, how we capture data, how we look at it, and how we use it to provide a personalized experience. So let's get straight into it and welcome our guest. Danny, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Mark. Good to be here.
It's always good to have you back. For those who don't know you, maybe can you just share a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. Been working with Adobe and Adobe Experience Manager for past several years, working on client projects for a long number of years, and now started working on the tech marketing side and creating a lot of content and tutorials out there, get you up and running on AEM.
I think you're underselling yourself. I mean, if you don't know Danny, he creates some of the best reference guides on how to use and get the best out of Experience Manager. So, things like the weekend tutorial, etc., his baby, and definitely someone to look up to and learn from. So, always great to have you join us. So, we're going to keep this short today, but really want to get into the data element. So, let's get into our feature presentation. Alrighty, so look, we are both content people. We often think about, yeah, okay, I build an experience, I put it out there, so what? Now what? Right? And there's a whole other school of thought around, well, it's only good if people actually look at the experience and we can measure it and we can optimize it. And of course, both are equally important. So today we're going to talk about that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Some of my colleagues on the analytics and target side are always like, "Oh, you AEM people, all you care about is the presentation." It's like, but we got to measure it, we got to optimize it. Let's learn how we can improve. Yeah, it's been fun. I've been exploring the Adobe Client Data Layer and working out some best practices and fun ways to integrate it with Launch, Target, and Adobe Analytics.
Yeah, and I think even if you are thinking, well, that's not what I do, I think it's good to have a healthy appreciation of that side of and how we can meet in the middle. So as we're creating content and if we're building, components, etc., we're always thinking with the data in mind. And then conversely, if I'm a data person, I can look at this and go, now I know exactly how things are exposed and how I can take advantage of that. So you've got a few things to show us today. It looks like a fairly hands-on demonstration, which is awesome. So let me know when you're ready, and I think we can get straight into it.
All right, yeah, let's do it. I'm just gonna share my screen. Let's see here. All right. So Mark, you can see my screen?
I can see your screen. Let's make sure the audience can see your screen. So let's press this magic button and maybe this magic button. Oh, one more button. Live technology. Here we go. No, they're almost there. Give me a moment. All right. Everyone can see your screen.
Okay, cool. So I've got an AEM as a cloud service published environment up. This is that weekend reference site that Mark was talking about earlier. And one of the cool things that's now just out of the box with AEM core components, and it's enabled with the weekend site, is this feature called the Adobe Client Data Layer. And if you're a target or analytics person, you're probably very familiar with the idea of data layers. I guess not to do a history lesson, but kind of in the olden days, if you wanted to capture analytics about how a user was interacting on a page, what buttons they were clicking, what impressions, what images were showing, you would do something where you would kind of scrape the HTML of the website and send that information back to analytics. Using a data layer is a much easier alternative, and it's kind of an industry standard, I think, these days, so that it's a JavaScript-based object. So instead of having to kind of, go in and inspect, drill into the DOM, target some sort of class in order to figure out what button someone clicked, now you can just call up this JavaScript object and just send that data to analytics or perform some sort of action on it.
And I
What's cool
think, historically, this has been a bit of a, every
Mark,
consultant had their own toolkit, right? They would start a project, they would say, Well, this is how I build a data layer, and there was no kind of commonality to it. And I imagine that the data layer helps with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just from it also just lowers the barrier to getting a data layer. There's a some amount of cost to implementing one from scratch, um, and now this is pretty much out of the box. So I want to just briefly show it to you. This is my AEM site. The Adobe data layer is integrated, and I'll zoom in here, make sure you guys can actually see this. But you can just call this get state method, which is just going to give you the current state of the data layer. And as you drill into it, you can see some high level information about the page itself, the title, the type, description, language, if there were tags on it, template, and then you can actually drill into every single one of the components on here, and it's quite a lot. But if you wanted to track maybe social media engagement, you could start adding event listeners to listen for anytime someone is clicking these sorts of buttons. So it's really powerful. It's really well detailed, and if you're using AEM core components, then most of this is built for you. It just you have to toggle it on, and then you'll sort of get this data layer.
It's probably worth asking. So, how did you get to this point? Like, how did you actually get the client layer activated?
Yeah, there is right now it's a little sling configuration. Um, it's just a couple of properties that you have to add to the root of your site, and once those are there, it's enabled. And I
Yeah.
think you have
Okay.
to be using Core Components 2.9.
Got it. And is there any performance impact on the site by doing this?
No, I don't. It's actually really lightweight. It's loaded asynchronously, so there shouldn't be any performance in terms of you know where like the page is blocked from rendering or anything like that. Um, so yeah, it's very lightweight, and that kind of leads me into the next kind of advantage or really cool thing about the Adobe Client data layer is they specifically built it to be event driven. Um, so it's not static, and this is a bit of a shift if you've worked with other data layers where you could just call it. The idea is that you're listening, your custom code, your analytics code is listening for events that are going to take place on the page. Um, and so there's like a page load event, which we can go into. Actually, why don't we can go in there actually and check it out. Um, and the big before I digress and go into launch, the big advantage of the event driven piece is that you're going to avoid these sorts of race conditions where you're waiting for your custom JavaScript to load, but then you have to wait until the data layer is finished loading, and it just leads to all kinds of strange dependencies, and it becomes a spider web and a nightmare to debug. But having everything event driven, it makes it really easy to track those sorts of things.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, so let me show. Yeah, we said it was going to be a quick. We said it was going to be a quick demo. Here we are, 13 minutes in. So this is Experience Platform Launch, formerly DTM. Launch is a tag management system, and it's awesome. The idea would be you integrate Launch with AEM. Most of that configuration is pretty straightforward. And then once you've got Launch integrated with your AEM site, now you can start installing all of these different extensions. So they've got extensions for Adobe Analytics, Adobe Target. You can go in. There's this huge catalog of other extensions, and by managing it all kind of centrally in one place, it just makes it easier for who's ever's in charge of of this development.
And just jump
Um,
in there for a second. If people haven't heard about Launch before, it is available to everyone who uses Experience Manager, right? So it's not like an additional license. If you don't have access to it, if you can't find it, then your account team can to get that sorted for you. But it is a definite value add, as part of Experience Manager and Experience Cloud. That tag management should just be done, right? It should be part of the
Yeah.
solution. So yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I think it's just worth pointing that out.
No, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, so you've got all these extensions that you can add. It makes it a lot easier. And then the other idea with it is then you start to create different rules to measure or optimize or perform any sort of targeting. So I've got just pretty simple here, three rules in Launch. One is for page loaded. Another one is I want to track CTA, call to action buttons that are clicked. Then I've got one for target. And I'll just open up this page loaded rule here. Right now, this is the idea with the rule is you need it to be triggered based on some sort of event. And like I was mentioning, the data layer is going to throw these events. Now, right now, it is a little bit of custom code that we've got here. And this is, but there is some extensions that are being planned specifically for the Adobe Client data layer. So you actually don't even, it'll be a little more UI friendly. But in the meantime, I'll just open this up real quick. The idea, I can zoom in a little bit. We're really just listening for this sort of show event because we know that the page, the core component page, is going to throw this CMP show event. I've got comments in here in case anyone wants to inspect it. It's actually not that much code, but whenever the page is loaded, that event is gonna fire, and I'm just gonna discard those changes. I
I
can
think
do like
whenever there's more comments than code, it's pretty easy, right?
yeah, yeah. It's really not too much. Um, we can do some quick value comparisons just to make sure that that CMP show happened from a page. It was a page event and not a carousel or some other component that was triggering that event. And then we can basically just go from there, set some variables. I've got some data elements that are inspecting the data layer. Because we're listening to an event that was triggered by the data layer, we'll know exactly what the the template that threw it, what the ID was, when that page was modified. So we can go in, set these analytic variables, and then send that analytics beacon. So that's just one rule.
Can
I've
you
also
can
got
you just go
another one.
back to that set variables? I think
Yeah.
it's worth just spending a minute or two on that. So, I mean, a lot of the implementations I've seen, this is like hard coded onto the page, right? So the data layer actually has evar5 equals in the name of the page and so on. And if you want to change any of that, you are going back into code deployments. Whereas now the library is the library. You don't have to worry about that. It's available wherever you've deployed it. But now your configuration comes into Launch, and the nice thing I like about Launch is the fact that there's a governance layer. You can version control, you can deploy, rollback, and all of that as well. So, just want to make sure we don't overlook that. Is there's absolute value in doing it this way? If you're sitting there thinking, well, hang on, I can just hard code this.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a great point. There's also just a little more transparency. If you have a huge site and you've got a lot of analysts or marketers that are in there and they want to measure different things, kind of doing it in Launch with this sort of UI, it's really easy to follow. Hey, like this is the event that triggered it. There are some conditions that were evaluated, and then these were the actions. You could probably take all of this and put it in a small JavaScript file, but then someone it's just not as accessible. You don't quite know exactly what was going on.
Yeah, totally agree.
So I've got that one for analytics. I'll just pop this one open. This is a CTA clicked rule. Same sort of thing. I'm reacting to an event that's thrown by the data layer. Whenever one of those core components are clicked, they're going to trigger one of these rules. And then I can actually just go in and do a little bit of, again, it's a little bit of snippet of code, but I can actually filter and say, hey, I want to check if that event was by a button, or if that event was thrown by a teaser. And if it's not thrown by those two components, I'm not gonna react to it. I'm not gonna track that click. So yeah, those are the two analytic events that I've got. Let me show you how it works. And this gives me an excuse to use my favorite new tool, Experience Cloud Debugger, Experience Platform Debugger. I don't know if you've used this one, Mark.
It's pretty cool. The hidden gem, actually.
Yeah, there's been a few iterations of these debuggers. This one is awesome. It's the newest one. My favorite part, it's a little Chrome. It's got an extension for Chrome and Firefox. Once I reload the page, it'll basically pick it up. It'll inspect it. It lets me know that, hey, analytics is on this target launch. I think this is one of the coolest things about what you can do with Launch, is that you can actually go in. You can do this on any site. You can do it on the live weekend site if you want. You can go into the configuration, and you can just go in and replace that Launch embed code just for yourself. So the other thing, I'm logged in to my Marketing Cloud org, Tech Marketing Demos. This is going to show me, and you can see there's a ton of these Launch properties here, but I can go in and find and substitute any of these properties. I don't need to like remember and copy and paste the embed code, even though that's not that difficult. And then I can actually go in and choose a different environment. So if you're just doing some development, you just want to set the development environment, you can go ahead and do that. It's really nice.
And we have a fairly smart audience watching this live stream, but now and again I do get asked questions about that, saying we're not actually changing the tags deployed to the site here. We're just locally in my browser overriding it.
Correct. So, yeah. It's not you're not overriding or ruining someone else's website. It's just for you.
Convenient ultimate debugger. Power though, but no.
It's not that powerful.
Yeah.
And then we can turn on the console logging. So I'll just throw this up. Go open up the console, and then I'll just do a refresh. All right. So we've got, you can kind of see now that I've logged the debugging. I've got the page loaded analytics rule. You can that was fired, and you can start to see the analytics in the console. It's not that I don't know. It's pretty easy actually, but you can see here's those evars that I had set as part of the analytics variables. And they're being, I'm capturing the page template, the page ID, when it was modified, and the name. And then let's go ahead and click one of these links. And so I'll keep, I'm preserving my console log. I actually didn't get the click registered for that one. So there might be something wrong with my code, but it at least tried to fire that rule. So I might have to debug that later. But let me try this one. There we go. I think that one worked. My only gripe, not gripe, I assume they'll get it fixed soon, is if you have it running, you get this at least I get this little error. But that's only if not too many people. Customers aren't gonna ever see that.
It's not affecting consumers, so
yeah,
we'll live with that one. Keeps you on your toes, right? If there's a little bit of red in your day, then you keep paying attention. That's good.
Yeah. There you go. It bothers me, but we'll get through it. Yeah, you can see my CTA click rule did get fired when I clicked that teaser button, and then I can inspect the data that was on that teaser, so I can capture exactly which teaser fired it. we can track it as a custom CTA clicked and keep it going from there. So yeah, that's kind of taking data layer, using it with Adobe Analytics. The debugger, I mean, now that I was hyping the debugger, I should actually show parts of it. It'll actually should give you a nice list of all the events that have been fired in this nice table, and so you can actually go through and see every single environment variable, prop, you name it. And you can just verify that it is sending it to the right report suite.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's high level launch, AEM and analytics.
Yeah, and I guess so. This is something that in the past has been, have fun with that. Go and work out how to do it yourself. We've got some products, and I think now, through the work you've done and you've worked with engineering, etc., this is now the recommended way from Adobe to do this, right?
Yeah, definitely. They're going to keep expanding the Adobe Client data layer. One thing I'll also point out is the schema that's used is based on XDM experience. I'm struggling with the rest of the acronym. It's a schema that's we'll put it in the show notes to the documentation, but it's a schema developed by the Experience platform team, and so by basically conforming to this sort of schema, it makes it really easy to push this data into analytics and Target.
Yeah, the experience data model. So
there you go.
It's what's good about it. It's when we think about an experience, it's everything around it. So it's the analytic events that we're firing. It's how we mark up content, and increasingly you'll see more on that side. It's all over the experience, even down to how you send out a push notification, etc., as an event. So lots of development going on in that area. All right, so we have the site marked up. We have a data layer. We've captured the activities. We've sent it off the relevant parts to analytics. So we know exactly what's going on our site. What are we going to do with this information now, apart from look at some reports and see how performance is and how we can optimize it?
Yeah, so that's a huge part of it, just understanding, where people are clicking. Another cool thing that we can do with Launch and Target is start to actually do some personalization. So I've got a scenario I'll just quickly walk through. On my author environment, I've got a couple of things. So the AEM author environment is where I'm managing my sites, and I've got a couple of experience fragments. And basically the idea would be, I don't know, maybe our analytics has shown us that this area of the site is probably the most traffic. This is getting the biggest bang for our buck, and we want to start to personalize this area of the website. So right now, this article, surf camp in Costa Rica, that's going to appear to all our users no matter where they are. We'd like to at least start.
Can I just say,
Yeah.
I can't get to Costa Rica right now. I'm not allowed to leave Australia. So what can you do for me? Like, I want to see something more appropriate.
Travel restrictions are prevalent these days. So so that is that's the scenario that we're laying out here. So luckily for Mark, we do have a featured article about camping in Western Australia. And so we would probably, if Mark's browsing our site, we want to serve this sort of personalized content to him.
Yeah.
We've also got another experience fragment. I'm in San Diego, Southern California. We've got another one, promoting a new article about LA skate parks. So that's another area that we would want to target. And experience fragments, as you can see, they're just snippets. They're pieces. A lot of times they are some sort of call to action or promotion. And out of the box, we can export experience fragment to Adobe Target. So I've already actually gone ahead and done that. And you can export them to Target as offers. And I'm by no means a Target expert. If those of you watching, I don't know, you're going to hear me mess up because I'm not as familiar with it, but I've only been experimenting with it for a little bit, and it's crazy powerful. But I can take those experience fragments, send them out to Adobe Target. These are now offers that I can use as part of an activity. So I've got my guide to LA skate parks here, camping in Western Australia. And then I've got, we can actually create this experience-driven activity. And I've gone ahead and I've already created it just to save some time. But let's see here. Maybe if I go into, so let's open it up. So what I've done here is I've got two experiences. I've got one for California, where I'm going to replace that image or that content with my call to action for LA skate parks. And then I've also got another experience targeted for Australia. And if I go in here, I can create I can target really any of these audiences that I can create. And so this weekend Australia audience, I don't know if it'll show me here. Yeah, this is just a geo targeting, and basically trying to match Australia. And then I can look for, can't remember if California was. All right, this one's just by state, and the various degrees, but there's all kinds of different audiences that you can go ahead and create. Geolocation was just fun because I'm in Southern California and Mark's in Australia. So yeah, so we're gonna try and deliver these live now.
Let's do it.
I'm not gonna save my changes. What I should be able to do is just activate it.
Well, before you do,
oh,
well, let's quickly have a quick look. So if I have my iPad here and I've got the content, you can see it's clearly showing Costa Rica.
yes.
Let me know when that's live, when that's activated.
It just went live. Are you sharing? You're sharing?
I'm sharing. I don't think you'll see it, but the audience will see it. So can I hit refresh?
Yeah, you should be able to.
All right. Magic of the live demo. I still see Costa Rica. Let me try that one more time. It's letting us down, mate. Let's
Oh no.
I'm doing a full page refresh. No. I'll hand back to you, and I'll keep trying. Let's see if we can get this working.
I mean, it is working for me. I am getting the LA skate park call to action.
We did try this before the show as usual, and it worked perfectly. So we'll leave that to a little demo glitch, but
yeah. So I mean, I think if I'm sharing, if everyone can see my screen, it is working for me. I'm in the San Diego area, so I am getting the LA article. I think market, you might have to actually, I don't know if you have the right URL. It could be
US. Hang on, let me try that. You know what? I have a slightly different URL.
Yeah, that's actually a bug that I've got right now because you have the full content.
I do.
Yeah. That's something to be aware of when you create your target activities. It's often it's pretty strict with the actual URL, which makes sense. So it's using the shortened version of the URL.
All right, if I can work out how to use my keyboard on the iPad, I'll fix that. So everyone's not waiting on me typing. Um,
Let me, yeah, while you get that up, let me show you what's going on the launch side. So I've got a page loaded rule for Target. Um, Again, I'm gonna listen to the same custom code events that I would do to capture a page load for analytics. But it's nice. This is another advantage of having it in using Launch is like I can kind of separate these into two different rules. They're still reacting to the same event, but it's just easier to manage. So then I'm loading Adobe Target. Um, Kind of like the similar to the analytics setting the environment variables. You can do the same thing with Target. I can actually pass back information about the page to Target. So in case we wanted to use that as an evaluation whenever we're creating our targeted experience, and then firing that page load request. So yeah, all this is managed through Launch, and then you can kind of take it into Target and work with the activities.
Guess what?
Did it work? All
It's
right.
working, so everyone can see that. Got the right content there. So, um, a tip for players at home: if you're doing a live demonstration, make sure you're actually showing the right demo content. Um, the technical part was working. The demoer was not working, but we got there in the end. So all good. And I assume that's because you targeted just one particular page, and I was pointing to the wrong one.
Yeah, that's right. It's this exact URL /US/en. But yeah, I
Good
don't
to
know.
know.
That's how you know it's a real demo.
Yeah, we got there. Awesome. Well, mate, that was really good. I'm hoping that's encouraging everyone to do a couple of things. First of all, really think about the way that you standardize on the capturing of the data layer, and if you've got something and if you've got a site that's been in motion for quite some time, I understand you might hesitate to want to go and change that, but data layers are normally changing all the time anyway, so it's definitely something to go and look at. And if you're not using Launch, absolutely go and have a look at it. We only just scratched the surface of some of the cool things you can do with it. As far as Target, that was a very simplistic example, right? Using Geo, but when you start to match the data layer with the targeting capabilities, and you start to say, okay, well, who is this person, and what pages have they been to already? How many times have they come back to the site, and really start to think about every single piece of content, you can come up with some really cool experiences that really focus on the customer journey as well as just the content. So exciting! I'm waiting to see what everyone does with this new awareness of what's possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you'll probably put it in the show notes. We've got some brand new tutorials around data layer, launch, analytics, target. So yeah, kind of hot off the presses. And
Yeah,
thanks for bringing me on to kind of promote that.
mate, always a pleasure. And with that, let's wrap up. So sadly, we're coming to the end of the show, and Danny, what are you working on next?
It is actually time to update the weekend, like the sites, traditional sites tutorial.
Yeah,
Archetype 24 got released 2 weeks ago, a week ago. Um,
yep,
so yeah, it's time. I gotta update that.
it's good. And if you haven't seen the weekend tutorial yet, go and have a look at it. It is always changing. I have a few people that I've talked to in the past, and they're like, "Yeah, I saw that like 2 years ago." I'm like, "No, you haven't. If you haven't seen it this month, you haven't seen it." So, as Danny, I'm sure you know because you live and breathe that world. But yeah, looking forward to seeing, of course, the updated core components, how they're used. There's some brand new ones in there as well that are now part of the archetype. the data layers in there, AMP's in there, and so on. So it should be pretty good, and we might put some content together around that as well. But mate, I want to thank you again for joining us. As usual, everyone who's watching, hit the subscribe button so you know when there's the next session. And if you'd like to see a certain topic, feel free to reach out and either comment or ping me directly, and we'll line something up. But let's end it there. Thanks again. See you, everyone. Until next time. Bye.